Level 1. The pre-med student. You are 19 years old. You have told everyone you know that you are going to be a doctor. You said it at Thanksgiving dinner. You said it on your college application. You said it to the girl at the party who asked what your major is. You have never touched a patient. You have never held a scalpel. You have never seen a dead body. But you are pre-med, and in your mind that means something. Your life is organic chemistry. That is not a metaphor. You sit in a lecture hall with 300 other students who also told everyone they were going to be doctors. By the end of the semester, half of them will switch to business. The professor does not learn your name. He does not try. The curve is brutal. It is set by students who study 14 hours a day and still barely sleep. You get a 68 on your first exam. You sit in your car in the parking garage for 20 minutes staring at the steering wheel. You do not call anyone. You do not know what you would say. You volunteer at the hospital because your advisor told you that medical schools want to see clinical hours. You wear a lanyard with a badge that says volunteer in large red letters. It is there so nobody confuses you for someone who matters. You refill water pitchers. You push wheelchairs. You deliver flowers to rooms where people are dying. You smile because you do not know what else to do. A nurse asks you to grab a blanket. You feel useful for the first time in 3 months. You shadow a doctor for 4 hours. He lets you listen to a heartbeat through a stethoscope. You go home and think about it for a week. You study for the MCAT like your life depends on it. It does. In every practice score feels like a verdict. You take it on a Saturday morning in a testing center that smells like anxiety and recycled air. You score well enough. You apply to 25 medical schools. You get rejected from 19. You get waitlisted at 4. You get accepted to 2. You pick the one that gives you more financial aid. You are $200,000 in debt before you see your first patient. Welcome to medicine, level 2, the medical student, 4 years. That is what stands between you and the letters MD after your name. The first 2 years are classrooms and textbooks and a volume of information that does not seem physically possible for a human brain to hold. You memorize every bone in the body, every muscle, every nerve, every artery. You learn the names of diseases you have never heard of and will never forget. You study pathology and pharmacology and microbiology. You learn how the body works, and then you learn every single way it can fail. Your first anatomy lab is the day you realize this is real. There is a body on the table, a person who donated themselves to science so that you could learn. You are handed a scalpel and told to make the first incision. Your hands shake. The student next to you looks like she might pass out. The smell is formaldehyde and something underneath it that you will never be able to describe but will never forget. You cut into human skin for the first time, and the room goes very quiet. You name your cadaver because calling them the body feels wrong. You spend 4 months with this person. You learn more from them than from any textbook. You think about them years later at random moments, in the shower, in traffic, in the middle of surgery. Third year is clinical rotations. They throw you into the hospital and you rotate through every department: surgery, internal medicine, pediatrics, psychiatry, obstetrics, emergency medicine. You follow attending physicians around like a shadow with a short white coat and a stethoscope you barely know how to use. You are asked questions on rounds in front of everyone. When you do not know the answer, the silence is loud enough to hurt. You learn to say, "I do not know, but I will find out," because making something up is worse. You see your first patient die during your internal medicine rotation, an 84-year-old man with heart failure. You are in the room when the monitor flatlines. The attending calls it. The nurse turns off the machines. You stand there not knowing where to put your hands. Nobody tells you what to do when that happens. Nobody teaches you how to carry that home. You pick a specialty. This is the decision that shapes the rest of your career. Surgery means 5 to 7 more years of training and a lifestyle that revolves around the operating room. Family medicine means clinic work and long relationships with patients. Emergency medicine means shift work and chaos and never knowing what is coming through the door. You agonize over it. You make lists. You ask residents if they would do it again. Most say yes. Some hesitate before they say it. Level 3, the intern. You graduated medical school. You have the degree. You are technically a doctor. You know nothing. That is not self-deprecation. That is the universal experience of every intern who has ever walked into a hospital on July 1st. The nurses call it the July effect. Hospitals get a little more dangerous in July because every new doctor is learning on the job, and the learning curve is a cliff. You work 80 hours a week. That is the legal limit, and everyone pretends it is enforced. Some weeks it is closer to 90. You take 28-hour calls where you're in the hospital overnight and expected to function the next day. You sleep in a call room that smells like every tired person who has slept there before you. The mattress is thin, the pillow is thinner. Your pager goes off 15 minutes after you close your eyes, and you are upright and moving before you are fully conscious. You write orders. You draw blood. You put in IVs when the nurses are too busy. You present patients on morning rounds to the attending and the senior residents, trying not to stumble over your words while reciting lab values from memory. You get things wrong. You order the wrong test. You forget to check a result. A senior resident pulls you aside and corrects you, and you want to disappear into the floor. You go home after a 14-hour shift and sit on your couch and eat cereal from the box and wonder if you made a terrible mistake choosing this career. Then your phone buzzes with a message from a patient's family member thanking you for being kind. You put the cereal down, cry a little, go to bed, wake up, and do it again. Level 4, the resident. You survived intern year. You are now a second year, then a third year, then however many years your specialty requires. Surgical residents do 5 to 7 years. Internal medicine does 3. The years blend together. The hospital becomes your entire world. You know which vending machine has the best snacks. You know which bathroom on the 3rd floor is always empty. You know which attending will grill you mercilessly and which one will actually teach you something. You start making real decisions, not just writing orders someone else approved. Actual clinical judgments about actual human beings. A patient comes into the emergency department with chest pain, and you run through the differential diagnosis in your head. You order the tests, read the results, and decide whether this person is having a heart attack or a panic attack. You are right most of the time and wrong just enough to keep you humble. The weight of that responsibility never goes away. You just learn to carry it. You teach the interns now. You see yourself in their terrified faces. You try to be the kind of senior resident you wished you had, patient, clear, willing to explain things twice without making them feel stupid. Some of them will be great doctors. Some are struggling, and you can see it. You do not know whether to say something or let them figure it out. You say something. You pull them aside in the hallway and ask if they are okay. Sometimes they say yes. Sometimes they break down and tell you everything. You listen because nobody listened to you when you were in their position. And you promised yourself you would be different. You lose patience. Not every day, but often enough that it changes you. A 45-year-old father of 3 comes in with abdominal pain. You think it is an ulcer, it turns out to be pancreatic cancer, and he is dead in 6 weeks. You saw him in the emergency room. You were the first doctor he spoke to. You told him you would figure out what was going on. You did. You wish you had not. You go to the bathroom after your shift, sit in the stall, press your palms into your eyes, and breathe. Then you wash your hands and walk back out to see the next patient because there is always a next patient. Your personal life is a disaster. Your friends from college are getting married, buying houses, posting vacation photos. You are on year 4 of training, making $65,000 a year, which sounds reasonable until you divide it by the hours you work and realize you make less per hour than the hospital parking attendant. Your relationship ended because you canceled dinner for the 3rd time in a month. You missed your best friend's wedding because you could not get the shift covered. You tell yourself it will be worth it. You tell yourself that every day. Level 5, the fellow. You finished residency. You could practice medicine right now. You could go make real money for the first time in your life. Instead, you signed up for more training. A fellowship, 1 to 3 more years of specialized education in a subspecialty. Cardiology, oncology, gastroenterology, neonatal intensive care. whatever narrow slice of medicine you decided to devote your life to. You are very good at one thing now. You are the person they call when the general doctors do not know what to do, a patient's heart is doing something unusual, and the internal medicine team calls you because you are the cardiology fellow and hearts are your entire world. You look at the EKG and see what they missed. You adjust the medication. You explain it to the team. You feel competent for the first time in a decade of training, and it is a feeling you will chase for the rest of your career. The fellowship is also a research machine. You publish papers. You present at conferences in hotel ballrooms where 500 doctors eat bad chicken and listen to PowerPoint slides about clinical trials. You analyze data. You run studies. You are building your academic reputation one publication at a time. You are 32 years old. You have been in training since you were 18, 14 years. You have spent your entire adult life preparing for a career that has not technically started yet. Your college roommate who went into finance has a house, a retirement account, and 2 kids. You have a rented apartment, $280,000 in student loans, and a very specific knowledge of how the electrical conduction system of the human heart works. You remind yourself that you did not do this for the money. Some nights that feels true. Some nights it does not. Level 6, the attending physician. You are done. No more training, no more supervision, no more being the student. You are an attending physician. The responsibility stops with you. When a patient crashes at 3 o'clock in the morning and the resident calls you, they are calling because you are the final answer. There is nobody above you in the clinical chain. Your decision is the decision. If it is right, the patient lives. If it is wrong, the patient might not. You join a hospital or a practice, you see patients, you operate or you do not, depending on your specialty. You build relationships with patients who come back year after year with new problems and old complaints. You remember their names, their families, their histories, the patient who always brings cookies, the one who refuses to take their medication no matter how many times you explain why they should, the teenager who asks if she is going to die, and you tell her you are going to fight for her, and you mean it. The money is real now. You make $250,000, $400,000, $600,000, depending on your specialty and location. You start paying off your loans. You buy a house. You drive a car that is not falling apart. Your family finally understands what you have been doing for the past 15 years. For about 6 months, you feel like you made it. Then you realize the job is harder than training ever was. Because now there is no one to catch your mistakes. You carry your patients home with you, the ones you saved and the ones you did not. You replay decisions in your head at 2 a.m. You question what you could have done differently. You go to morbidity and mortality conferences where doctors sit in a room and review cases where patients died and discuss what went wrong. Sometimes what went wrong is systemic. Sometimes what went wrong is you. You sit there and listen to your colleagues analyze your decisions. You absorb it because that is how medicine improves. But it does not feel like improvement. It feels like being opened up on the table yourself. Level 7, the chief resident. They ask you to lead. Not just practice medicine, but run things. If you are in an academic hospital, you might become the chief resident first, overseeing the training of every resident in the program. You design the schedule. You mediate conflicts between residents who are too exhausted to be civil to each other. You mentor the ones who are struggling and push the ones who are coasting. You are the bridge between attending physicians and trainees, and both sides think you work for them. Later, if you stay long enough and prove yourself, you become the department chief. You are responsible for every doctor in your department, their performance, their behavior, their outcomes. When a surgeon in your department makes a mistake, it is your problem. When administration wants to cut your budget, it is your fight. When a patient files a complaint, it lands on your desk. You spend more time in meetings than you ever imagined. Budget meetings, hiring committees, quality reviews, credentialing boards. You became a doctor to take care of patients, and now you spend half your time in a conference room arguing about resource allocation. The paperwork is relentless. The politics are exhausting. You fight for your department because nobody else will. You fight for your patients because that is why you started this. You remind yourself of that on the days when the spreadsheets make you forget. Level 8, the chief medical officer. You are no longer just a doctor. You are an executive. You oversee hundreds of physicians across every department. You set standards. You review outcomes. You investigate when something goes wrong. You deal with crises the public never hears about: shortages, lawsuits, system failures, outbreaks. You make decisions that affect entire hospitals. Some of those decisions stay with you. You still try to see patients when you can. One clinic day a week if you're lucky. You sit with someone, listen, and remember why you started. Then you go back to your office, open your email, and the day disappears. Level 9, the Surgeon General. You run systems now, multiple hospitals, thousands of staff, hundreds of thousands of patients. You make decisions that affect people you will never meet. You allocate resources across communities with very different needs. Every decision helps someone. Every decision fails someone else. You have been in medicine for decades. Your body feels it. Your perspective carries it. You have seen medicine evolve, technology improve, systems expand, complexity increase. But the core need has not changed. Patients still need someone who listens, someone who cares, someone who knows what they are doing and is not too exhausted to do it well. Level 10, the legacy. You retire. You clean out an office filled with decades of work, plaques, photographs, thank you notes. You take your white coat down and fold it for the last time. It is worn. You cannot throw it away. There is a dinner in your honor. People tell stories about you. They call you a mentor. They say you changed their careers. You did not know that at the time. You never do. You go home. The house is quiet. Your family carried the weight with you for years. You see someone young starting the same path. You recognize the look in their eyes. You cannot protect them from what is coming. The exhaustion, the loss, the pressure, the moments that make it worth it. All you can do is tell them the truth, that it is the hardest thing they will ever do, that some days they will regret it, and that most days they will not. That being trusted with someone's life at their most vulnerable moment never becomes ordinary. Somewhere right now, a code is being called. A team moves without hesitation. They do not know each other's stories, but they know exactly what to do. Because they have done it before, because they will do it again. That is the hospital. That is what every level serves. That is why the cycle continues.